What's going on, guys? So in this video, it's time to talk about a favorite subject on this channel, cheap fragrances. It's more specifically some cheap fragrances that I believe are really built for the cold weather. These can all be found in the sub $50 price point, obviously depending on bottle size for a few of them and where you find them, but for the most part, you can get them for a really good price. Most of these perform really well. You're not going to spend a lot of money. They're very warming, cozy, and kind of built to cut through that cold, crisp, cool weather. Got 10 of them for you, so let's talk about it. Stay tuned. Starting with one from the brand called Diesel. Yes, those cheesy Only the Brave bottles. So cheesy, they're kind of awesome. But this one specifically is Only the Brave Tattoo. Why this one specifically? Well, this one is sweet, fruity with some earthy tobacco. Has a little bit of this 1 million smell to it and add a little bit of tobacco, really. More fruity sweet than spicy overall, but some resemblance a little bit to 1 million is what I pick up in it. But like I said, not a one-to-one kind of thing, but just for comparison's sake for you guys, basically. Performance is well above average. This is an 8 or 9 hour fragrance on my skin. Sub $40 price point for the big 4.2 ounce. A 75 ml like this, I want to say I paid a little over $30, 32, 33 bucks. This is a tester. Came in a tester box, by the way. For those of you can curious, there's the tester sticker on the bottom. But a very, very good, underrated, slightly playful fragrance for the winter. Nothing real serious about this one. This can be worn casually, great in the evenings in casual settings, going out with friends, going to have drinks. Like I like to use as an example, oftentimes going to Topgolf and such. Things along those lines. This fragrance is perfectly suited for that in the cold weather. Definitely check this one out because, you know, it doesn't really get any love and it's actually a pretty damn good fragrance. Only the Brave Tattoo from Diesel. Next, this is my favorite blue fragrance to wear in the cooler weather. I actually don't like wearing this one in the summer at all, though you can get away with it. It's a little more on the cloying, dense, and lightly sweet powdery side for me to where I would want to wear it in the heat. But I'll tell you what, spring, fall, and even in the winter, this one's strong enough to cut through the cold. It is Salvatore Ferragamo. This is ACQUA ESSENZIALE Blue. My favorite, most synonymous with my channel. You know, it's funny when it comes to this fragrance, there's certain video topics where this would fit, and if I don't have it in there, somebody, at least one person, every time brings it up in the comments that I'm surprised this wasn't in there. I don't only talk about this fragrance, but yes, it is still one of my favorites. Oh man, and it is the time of year when I start reaching for this one. This is some good stuff. Fall to winter weather. This really shines. Like I said, it's a little bit more powdery and sweet overall. The density's kind of, it's a little bit thicker of a scent profile than most of my blue fragrances. Doesn't really have that aquatic fresh tone that a lot of the lighter blue fragrances do. And you can find this one still for a pretty good price in that 40 some odd dollar range for 100 mls. 50 mls, you can find them even cheaper than that. Testers you can find in the 30 some odd dollar price point if you're okay with not having a cap. It's still a great fragrance, guys. I still stand by this one. It's still very affordable. It still smells incredible. And the Salvatore Ferragamo ACQUA ESSENZIALE Blue. Next is one that I plan on reaching back in my collection to wear this winter. I wore it maybe twice last year. It is one of my favorite fragrances from this particular house. We're talking about the House of English Laundry, and specifically, we're talking about Windsor. Yes, very polarizing. Not everybody's a fan. It's very masculine, mature, clove heavy, has this synthetic wormwood oud smell. Very, very spicy. There's tobacco. It's on the more synthetic side, sure. Performance is pretty good. This is a much older bottle. It's a few years old, so I get like 9-10 hours out of it. I'm not sure about newer bottles, so don't quote me on that. This is my skin with this older bottle, but it's very strong. I still smell it floating around in the air. It's kind of engulfing this particular airspace since I sprayed that one spray. This is really, really good stuff. Warm, cozy, very overtly masculine. This is a man's type of scent profile. And the reason I say that is anytime there's cloves, it just comes across as super masculine to me. And I know not everybody's a fan of cloves, but if you do like fragrances that feature kind of a dominant clove note, you'll probably like this one. You can find these for sub $20 price point from discounters all over the place. As far as rack stores, online it's a little bit more than that. You're going to pay $30 to $40 price point, but if you can find them in the rack stores, Burlington's, places like that, they're like $13 to $15, something like that. Absolute steal at that price point. Bang for your buck, spicy cold weather fragrance. English Laundry Windsor. Speaking of bang for your buck cold weather fragrances that perform, and this one really performs, A lot of people's favorite cheap coffee fragrance. While admittedly not my absolute favorite coffee fragrance, I do appreciate this fragrance for what it is, and I get in the mood to wear it pretty much every winter. Jesus del Pozo Halloween Man X. You know, a cheap hype beast in its own right. This 4.2 ounce bottle, full presentation, I paid 30 some odd dollars. I know prices have changed a bit since I bought this like 2 years ago. Might have been longer than 2 years ago that I bought it actually. But you can still find it in that $40 and below price point. These fragrances in this line are still quite affordable. And it has this, it's kind of strange in the opening for me. I get a little bit of this wet concrete, wet cement type of smell. I know that sounds odd, but it's kind of oddly attractive in many ways. Then as it starts to settle, you have this beautiful underlying sweetness that kind of surrounds the aroma. And there's this dark roasted coffee note that really starts to come to the surface and come to the forefront and take over the fragrance all the way into the dry down where you get a little bit of a musk, a little bit of an ambery feel. It's a good fragrance right here. It's not, I don't think it's phenomenal. I don't think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread like some people do. Everybody's got their opinions. But I'll tell you what, you're looking for bang for your buck performance that really does pull a compliment or two here and there. I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't. This is some really good stuff. Not an underrated coffee fragrance by any means. It's got its fair share of hype. Definitely one worth trying. Halloween Man X. This is a personal favorite of mine for this time of year. It's my favorite Bentley fragrance. It is Bentley For Men, the original, not the intense. Many of you that have watched me sporadically from time to time, you've bound to have heard me talk about this one before. This is the time of year, guys. Booze, herbal bay leaf, spices, a little bit of leather, some woods. It doesn't have that harshness and that edginess of the intense. It's not very animalic. It doesn't have all the smoke accord that's in the intense. The intense is good. I do believe it deserves a lot of the hype it gets, but I do prefer this one overall. You don't sacrifice much performance, and it's a little bit smoother and more wearable as a whole. I just prefer this. This is my preferred version of the two. I hardly ever wear the intense because when I get in the mood for the scent profile, I just reach for this one, and this one's a few dollars cheaper. You can find this around 30 bucks, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more. Performance is above average. It's not an absolute beast like the intense, but it's close to it. This one's every bit of 8 to 10 hours on my skin, more in that 10-hour range, and projections on the very heavy side in the first 2 hours. Check this one out if you haven't yet, especially if you're not a fan of the intense. This might be the one for you. The original Bentley For Men. At the recording of this video, I just wore this a few days ago. This is definitely built for the cold. Immensely powerful. I only wore 3 sprays around my neck because I was wearing a hoodie like I am now. When I wear hoodies, I wear much stronger fragrances because I'm going to spray less because I don't want to spray my hoodies. And my wife made sure to let me know just how strong I was off of 3 sprays with SCENTual Obsessions version of Bond No. 9 Andy Warhol. This stuff is so damn good. This is my newer bottle. I have a much older bottle. Beautiful sweet plum, a nice animalic tone to the oud. It's not really medicinal. It doesn't have much of an oud funk, but man, it's blended so well. Oh God, it smells so good. It's a little leathery. There's some spices, but the most dominating thing you're going to get is the plum. You'll get the oud, but mostly a heavy dose of sweet and juicy plum. This is just such a damn good fragrance. Performance is bonkers, like I was saying before. Projection is pretty heavy, but the sillage kind of takes over as that projection settles down. You don't really lose much. It'll push so far for a couple of hours, and as it starts to settle in and get close to the skin, it never gets too close to the skin. This stuff will linger in the air. This stuff will make an impact. People are going to smell you. This stuff is incredible, and you can get them really cheap from SCENTual Obsessions. This is not expensive, and it's beyond bang for your buck. SCENTual Obsessions version of Bond No. 9 Andy Warhol. One that's had a ton of hype over the years. You can find 100 milliliter bottles for around 40 bucks. It has become bang for your buck. Above average performer, great evening wear scent, nothing real serious. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's got tobacco, it's ambery. It is Azzaro's Wanted by Night. You know, this has had a ton of hype over the years, and I think it's pretty justified for the most part. This is actually my stepson's current signature scent. This is what he wears the most. He has a 100 milliliter bottle, and you'll get a little bit of that Invictus sweetness in the top, but not much. It kind of starts settling into a lot more cinnamon, spice, and warmth. The sweetness never really goes away, but you'll get a little bit of an earthy tobacco note, and like I said, there's a warm, ambery tone pretty much from the start to the finish of this fragrance as it settles down into amber, tobacco, and a little bit of woods. Lovely stuff. Like I said, above average performer. Not everybody gets beast mode performance, but some people do. It definitely is nice and cozy for the cold, though. Have to say, whether it's daytime or nighttime, even though it's marketed for the night, it still works great on a cold, crisp, cool day. Check this one out if you haven't yet. Definitely bang for your buck for the money. One of the better fragrances from Azzaro is Wanted by Night. Old Faithful from Calvin Klein. My favorite Calvin Klein fragrance to wear in the colder weather. I've been through a bottle in the past. I'm about halfway through this one. The CK1 Shock. A little bit of an orangey, tangerine type smell on the top. A little bit of this moist synthetic tobacco smell. There's some herbs. It's got a little touch of powder to it. It's a great entry-level tobacco fragrance that's a decent performer, not a beast. This one I've always got around 8 hours on my skin. Some may get less, some may get more, some may get just as well. Everybody's skin's different, but I gotta tell you, I still believe in this fragrance. I've been talking about this fragrance the entire life of this channel. This is all the way back to some of the first handfuls of videos I was recommending this fragrance, and I still believe in it. It still pops up at the rack stores. 100 mLs are going to run you around 20 bucks, 200 mLs around 30 bucks. Definitely a great bargain. Decent performance at minimum for everybody. Maybe you get better than average performance like I do. You never know until you put it on your skin, but a great entry-level tobacco. Definitely cozy, but not too warming at the same time. Cuts through the cold pretty well, and has the versatility to kind of do a little bit of everything in the cold. Whether it's casual wear, work wear, evening wear, kind of works in every situation. And it's Calvin Klein CK1 Shock. Now, I've only gone through one full wearing of this fragrance so far. It is such a beautiful, sweet amber oud fragrance. It's the newest release from Happyland Studio. This is called Signature Gold. This stuff is immensely, ridiculously strong. Heavy type oils. The scent profile is heavy overall. It was built for the cold, for the fall and winter seasons, was its intention. It doesn't have that big tobacco hit that the original Signature has. It maintains a lot of that sweetness from the DNA. It's a thick, sticky type of sweetness with a good bit of oud. Now this has a little bit of oud funk. Okay, not quite a stinky type of oud, a very wearable oud. So when I say a little bit of oud funk, don't think it lowers its wearability. If anything, this is one of the more wearable ouds that I own in my collection. How natural is it? I'm not sure, but it smells damn good. Have to say, worthy of a sample. You can get 50 mLs like this. They're right around 55 bucks before the TLTG 20 discount code. That'll save you 20% and bring it much more into that cheapy territory. They have 30 mLs. You can get individual small samples and just try it out. You don't need much as far as sprays here. Ladies, if you're into ouds, this is very wearable for ladies as well. Perfectly unisex, as long as you like oud, because it is prominent. You will get an herbaceous tone to this fragrance. There's this herbal spicy feel to it. I believe it's a little bit of basil that's in here that gives kind of this herbal spicy tone. A lot of sticky, thick, ambery warmth and some sticky sweetness. Like it's a thick aroma overall. Just beautiful stuff. Definitely worth trying. If you're looking for something super bang for your buck for the winter and the cold, check out Happyland Signature Gold. Last but most certainly not least, this is one of the most bang for your buck warm, cold weather performers that I've been eagerly anticipating wearing for these particular weather situations, I guess you could say. The cold weather, which I've been getting a lot of lately. Another Azzaro fragrance, but specifically Pour Homme Intense. Big fan of this fragrance. Big fan. I paid 35 bucks from Kingdom Fragrances last winter, early last winter, maybe late fall. I want to say, I haven't looked in a while, might have went up a few bucks, but even around $40, $45, it's still well worth the money. So good. Maintains the original's DNA, that beautiful, soft and spicy aromatic barbershop smell. A lot of sweet brandy booziness to it. A hefty dose of cinnamon to really warm spice this scent profile up heavily. Take it from soft and spicy to much more warm, thick, and dense of a spice overall. Gorgeous fragrance. Another one. 8 to 10 hours easy. It's bordering beast mode territory. If you spray it heavy, it's absolutely a beast. Projection's heavy. Sillage is great. It dresses up well, but hell, it works fine with a hoodie like I'm wearing right now. This is probably, as I look, it's hard to say my favorite in the video because ACQUA ESSENZIALE Blue is in here, but it's top 3 for sure. This is some great stuff. More people need to try this and give it a chance. Perfect bang for your buck for the cold. Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today, and until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. what's some of the cheap fragrances you've been ready to dust off for your collection and kind of put in rotation, because you're like kind of what I'm in this situation of, where you're starting to get much more cold weather, snowy days from time to time, because I'm up in the mountains in Colorado. So the cold weather hits a little sooner than most places. So I get to kind of rotate in some more warm and cold weather appropriate, I guess you could say, fragrances. So I'd love to read some of the stuff you guys have to say. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 10 I featured in this video and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.